Matchbox 2 is a big upgrade to our popular post-production change management tool, and it comes with a lot of really powerful new features for both sound and picture departments. First up is the new reconform integration with ProTools. If you're on ProTools 2025.6 or greater, and you have the ProTools scripting option enabled, Matchbox can reconform your session much faster and more reliably, and without the need of the helper plugin. Before you set it running, you can enable a few extra informative marker tracks, which give you a better idea of what has happened and really help in the patch-up process. And any of these new marker types can be moved to and from the main ruler to give you the nice vertical line across all your tracks. For example, you can move the visible diff markers up to the main ruler to help find new VFX shots that might need addressing. If you need a little extra help with that, turn on the Follow DAW mode to get real-time side-by-side videos showing exactly what has changed while you work. Scene and shot tracks can now be created as extra steps in a reconform, and these use the same marker track approach. Smart Conform is an entirely new way of reconforming your Pro Tools session, rather than just blindly copying chunks across all tracks. It looks at the reconform on a per-clip basis, allowing Matchbox to move things around more carefully, maintaining head and tail fades that overlap the cut. Matchbox looks within a user-defined window before and after the copied footage, to see if there is anything extra we might want to bring along with the main event. Automation is carried over intact, and it also cleans up any scraps of conform shrapnel created by overhanging fades. The net result is a reconform which is much cleaner, much closer to your original intent, and takes far less time to patch up. Note that Smart Conform can't perform effectively if you use giant clip groups across your entire reel, so remove them for best results. If you're ever unsure or unhappy about what Smart Conform has done, you can now jump back and forth between the reconformed version and your original, using the button on the UI or on the Reconform progress panel to find the opposing shot. And if you prefer something in the old version, just select an entire event, copy, jump back, and paste it. Solo Focus Mode is a new feature which makes the patch-up process a little easier. It forces Pro Tools to automatically solo whichever tracks are currently selected. So you'll always hear just the thing you have selected. Thing you have selected. Thing you have selected. So you'll always hear just the thing you have selected. The purple diffs are your safety check after matching up a reel against the new version. Matchbox 2 adds variable thresholds for audible and visible diffs, as well as some new diffing modes. Deep mode is a slower but more accurate method of finding visible differences in the matched areas. It tries to ignore color and simplifies the results to show you only the most significant changes in the frame. QC mode is a full frame pixel for pixel check, and will reveal even a single pixel difference between the two images. Since codec noise will always be present, we now offer a separate filter for these very subtle variances. If you change this filter setting, you'll need to rerun the scan for visible diffs. There's also a new option for masking out any persistently different parts of the frame, for example, a watermark on one video but not the other. Just park in some location where the difference is really clear and hit Capture. And now Matchbox will ignore this area when looking for visible differences. We can now filter out the diffs displayed on the timeline. Audible diffs are also now more accurate and less prone to triggering on small level changes. And when using phase cancel mode, You can now exaggerate subtle differences using an extra gain stage with its own safety limiter. We also have a few new editing tools: split match at playhead, resync current shot, and if you really don't like it, unmatch current shot. We now have direct integrations between Matchbox, ProTools, and the new QPro ADR spotting tool from non-lethal applications. Just reconform your QPro timelines the same way you would with ProTools sessions. Matchbox can now import tracks directly from ProTools. Maybe you like to do your reconform on a guide track first, finesse it in ProTools, and then use those results as the roadmap for reconforming other sessions. Import the track back into the Matchbox new timeline, then promote those clips. Now you can run these changes on any other session, with your tweaks included. This also means we can now import tracks from ProTools and then export as EDLs, or OTIO. And yes, you can export a change note. Anytime you get a new version handed over, there is a good chance that tiny changes have been made in the audio tracks, which are incredibly difficult to detect. Do a matchup between the old and new AAFs, and Matchbox will have identified where all the new audio clips are. Call Assemble Unmatched in DAW, and you'll get all the extra audio spotted into position in your session, including that quiet off-screen line which saves the film. If you've ever been given a turnover with no AAF, or a nasty embedded AAF, with all metadata vaporized in the export process, you'll understand what a big deal this next feature is. Matchbox can now use audio waveform data to match a dialogue guide track back to the original production media. Just select the reference audio and match back to a folder of your production media. It finds the original files that ended up in the bounce, along with anything else which sounds the same. It could find dialogue stems, temp mixes, and even alternate takes performed in the same way. You can also do the same thing from a clip in an AAF. Just make sure it's already linked to its audio file, then ask Matchbox to match back to some other collection of files. Polywave files are searched using either the first track, which is usually the mix, or all tracks summed together. When spotting the results to ProTools, you can also choose between all tracks or just track one. The audio matching algorithm has 3 modes, and these have all been improved since Matchbox 1. Try Tolerant mode if you're hoping to find alternate takes along with exact matches. Just like video files, audio files now have a little audio store cache file to speed up the matching process. The first time you do this, Matchbox will run an analysis pass on these files, but any future attempts will be much faster. You can also run a bulk analysis ahead of time. If you've ever received a trailer or advert as a single rendered file, you'll know the horror of eye-matching shots from a giant folder of original media. Well, we can now match back video media using the raw pixel data alone. Drag the full-length rendered video into the Matchbox timeline and match back to the directory in which you think the shots live. If you want to be more selective, you can first subclip the reel and then pick individual shots for it to find. If this is the first time you've searched these files, Matchbox will run an analysis pass, but this data will be stored to a little cache file to speed things up on the next attempt. For a big directory, this might take a while, so you might want to do this first analysis in a bulk operation overnight. Once it has finished searching, you'll see any good matches spotted onto new tracks in Matchbox. Option-click the reference layer to disable it and reveal the found shots underneath. Now you can simply select the clips and export as OpenTimeline IO or EDL and import to your NLE. This one is quite ridiculous. Matchbox can now extract source EDL info from a rendered reel using just the image. You define the areas where your timecode and clip name burn-ins are located, and Matchbox will create clips for every shot. Any picture editor working with a sound team will know the pain of being given a nice, new, clean dialogue mix, which has been mixed against some old, outdated version. Matchbox now offers a solution to this dilemma. Compare your latest cut against the older version that the sound team used to get a map of the changes between them. The quickest approach would be to export video tracks as AAF from each version. Once you have them matched, export the match ranges as an EDL, specifying the name of the audio mix file you want to conform up to current version. Import that back into your editing system and relink to the audio file in question. Congratulations! You now have the old mix in sync with your current edit.